Welcome to episode 5 of Just Some Points. It's about 4 months after the last episode. A lot of things have happened, not to mention the COVID crisis, but we also opened an office in St. Louis, and partially because of that, today we have Tammy with us, Tammy Dalton. She's our VP of Sales and Business Development, and we also have Nicole with us today, who is our new Head of Digital Marketing. So excited about that. Now the fact that it's an obvious reason why we do the show this way, but the quality might be not as good as in our studio, but it might just do the trick. So with that said, let's get started. Nicole, why don't you start it off for today and just tell you what you found? What do you think is interesting we should talk about today?
Absolutely. So I was watching TV the other night and I came across this commercial from Frito Lay's kind of anti-brand commercial. So I want to play it for you guys and get your opinions on it.
Okay.
So when I had first saw this commercial, a few things came to my mind, which was right away, as soon as I saw that, we're not changing our logo. We're not asking people to donate for us. Because that is a lot of what we are seeing with brands doing. We know that Guinness has done it. We know that McDonald's has done it. They've all changed their logos to include social distancing. And, we've done it as well. And we think it's a great idea to encourage social distancing. But for Frito to come out and to say, here's what we're doing. Here's how we're making a change. I thought that was a very powerful statement. But Fast Company actually brought up a really good point. When is an ad not an ad? Because we're watching this, and at first, my first thought was, wow, Frito's really doing a good job. And then my second thought when I was ordering my groceries was, hey, I really want to support Frito now.
Right.
So
yeah, I think when a company puts anything out like this, it's always an ad in one way or another. It's just impossible to not put an ad out. If you attach your brand to it, in my opinion, it's always an ad. I love this commercial. I think it's a wrong statement to say it's not about their brand. Yes, it is about their brand. That's why they put this video out. But I think there's nothing bad about it, because they also remind us there's more important things to look at, and that's why I think it's a despite having a secondary alternative motive, which is to promote themselves, I think it's fine the way they do that, because they still basically bring across what it is all about. It's about people. I
thought it was a great commercial. It's also really important, I think, to point out that Frito Lay's is owned by Pepsi. And Pepsi has made it known that they have donated over $45 million in relief efforts, as well as being one of the sponsors for the World Health Organization and Global Citizens One World Together at Home concert as well. So this happened to run, I believe, right before that concert.
Which is great. So, in today's world where so many people say stupid things and meaningless things, it's one reason why I like the commercial is it's more important what you do than what you say. And I also actually like the fact there was no music, no sound behind it. It's just all focused on the people.
So there is actually music behind it. It's a very quiet kind of just.
Oh.
It's not. It sets the tone. It's a serious kind of tone. It's a serious commercial. And I know that I think Thomas, I can tell that you kind of got the same feeling, that it's a very, it's not, I wouldn't call it uplifting, but it's eye-opening.
Right.
Yeah,
I feel good that, especially when it comes to Fritos, my husband's the biggest chip person in the world. So Fritos is a well-known brand, but I do applaud them for jumping on this, because it's actually a known fact that 32% of people are watching screens more, or they're watching screens 32% more than they did before. People didn't have time to come home and sit and watch TV. They didn't. They would run home from work, they would pick up their kids, get them ready for soccer, get them ready for lacrosse, and out the door they went. Well, guess what families are doing? You're sitting down watching TV. You're sitting down on your screen. I think it is Fast Company said 7% of people check social media or are on a screen every hour. So that's huge. And again, I applaud Fritos for being on track and getting it out there.
Absolutely.
And it's also, it fits to what we discussed this week. And actually, I want to use this as a segue into the second topic today that I want to talk about. And then it's this week in our meetings, we talked about, you have to trust your message today and to be authentic and honest and in context to our lives at the moment. If we don't do that, it just doesn't come across, honest and truthful. And I think people are very sensitive. Consumers are very sensitive to that. I want to talk about, you see a lot about marketing, what companies should do in these times. And I read a lot of articles, in time like crisis and when your business is down, this is what you should do. And I felt most of those articles fall short of one thing, and that is they don't reflect the different positions companies are in. And so I came up with three categories. Category number one, you're not hit too hard at all. In some businesses, like for example law firms, they're extremely busy at the moment, and what they should do in marketing is different than category two. You are hit hard, but you can pay your bills. It's a completely different approach to marketing when you're in that category. And then there's the third category, it's the worst situation you can be in. You're really hit very, very hard. You can't pay your bills. You don't know. There's no money coming in. So somebody telling you, oh, you have to market in tough times, it's kind of a farce. You don't want to hear that. And a lot of those articles don't speak to that. So I want to go very quickly through things you can do in each of those categories. So I'll go reverse because they all build onto each other. So if you don't have any money to spend at all at the moment, don't go and don't, if you don't have money, don't spend it, However, there are a lot of things you can do. Number one, beef up your social media. Do more social media, if you have posted maybe just once or twice a week or even less, go on every day. Get engaged with people, post, but post what I just said before, relevant stuff. Don't sell, don't go out and say, buy my products, you can sprinkle it in, but be more sensitive, post more, and reuse it. Doesn't cost anything. It's all, you can do this with $0.
Thomas, I would like to jump in there. Also, be transparent. Let people understand that you are struggling, that this is hard times for your small business, because there is nothing more. The only good thing, well, one of the good things I can say about this virus is I do feel like it's building a community. And if you're reaching out and you're being transparent to your customers or to your clients or to the industry you're in, saying, we are a small business and we are struggling, I think you will have that connection with your customers. And I think not only will you have that connection, I think you'll also build loyalty, which is what you really want as being a small business owner.
That's a very good point. It basically goes in the same direction with the Frito Lay commercial before. It's just be focused on the things and then be relevant. I agree with that. The second thing you can do for free is make sure you Google My Business listings are right. A lot of businesses forget to do that or neglect that. That is absolutely free. You can do that now that most of the people whose business is down, they have time. Focus on that. There's a lot of functionality now in Google My Business that you can do. Local directories. When you look at search engine optimization and what Google is looking at, they want to make sure that all those local listings, and there are a gazillion local listings that list local businesses, regional businesses, events, and so on and so forth. Very often those listings are not consistently correct. They might have wrong telephone numbers from you, wrong addresses from you, and as a result, Google really penalizes you to a certain degree from a search engine optimization perspective. It doesn't cost you anything. It's just, roll up your sleeves and look for the directories where your business is listed in and go there. Mailing database. If you don't have a mailing database, start building a database. Doesn't cost a lot. If you go to MailChimp or any of the other systems, they cost very little if you don't have a lot of things. Start that database. That's the cheapest way of, reaching out to customers or to your database, the cheapest way of marketing. And then if you're a writer, if you can write, then create a blog, or if you have a blog more. It is working. Content marketing helps you a lot from a search engine optimization perspective. So those are a few things, that you can do today, even when you have $0 for marketing. Now, all of those things are also true for the second category, businesses that are hit hard but can pay their bills at the moment. For those people, for those businesses, I recommend, if you had a marketing budget, don't cut it at this point. That would be a mistake. As long as you can pay your bills, keep spending it. However, having said that, review what you spent your money on so far. We look at, turn around every dollar you spent in marketing, say, is this dollar wisely spent? And, what I might have spent it on 2 months ago and where it made sense might not make sense today. So be critical about, but don't cut this budget. Look at it, and related to that, make a new marketing plan. Say, okay, I'm spending $500, $1,000, $5,000, whatever your budget is a month. Create a plan around that, and then execute on that. But don't cut the budget. And that brings me then to the last category: the companies that are really not hit that hard and still have a thriving business or a good business. For you guys, for those businesses, now is the time to leave your competition in the dust.
Right.
Now is the time to invest in marketing, because some of the competition neglect this or even cut it, or they might struggle. Now is the time to invest in marketing. Those companies, if you have never spent money in marketing and you're doing well in all of this, spend money. And do that by first also create a plan. Put a strategy together, have aggressive goals and targets, structure a budget around that, and then go out and kill it. That would be my recommendation. So there's all those three things, for all three categories. It can be done for everybody, but you have to be cognizant about where you are and where you fit in. So I thought it might be helpful.
I would want to go back and touch on what you had said about the social media. I think that, I know that we had this conversation previously this week, that at the end of all this, we're going to take a look at, these brands who maybe stopped posting, or maybe, that's going to be a very transparent way of, if you've been posting, and then COVID hit and you stopped, that tells me as a consumer, you either laid off, you cut budgets, you reallocated, and you kind of cut that line with your consumer. I mean, we want to see transparency. We want to see that you're communicating, even if it's just a post every day of, here's what we're doing to try to get back on our feet. I think that is going to be the most important part. And you're absolutely 100% right. It shouldn't just be once a week. It shouldn't just be twice a week. There should be some sort of constant communication and a mix and a bigger strategy between that social media and that newsletter.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more. And related to that, actually, I can make an example. Also, how social media and actually the changing world also creates an opportunity. We have, our healthcare practice points group. we deal with mostly with healthcare providers. Now, from one day to another, everything switched over to telemedicine and telehealth. Now, you could say, you go out now and tell your clients that, now you provide the service too, which is great. But you opened yourself up to the entire world. You all of a sudden can actually offer your services, not just in your community, but to anybody in the United States. So while you have maybe a downturn in revenue for operations and for procedures and whatever, which is granted more lucrative, you can start building a new business, really reaching out and getting more second opinions maybe and more patients from all over the United States. And that's something that requires agility and a change and a shift in plan. And you have to react to that.
Exactly.
So
another thing I was going to say, Thomas, sorry. Another thing I was going to say for the telemedicine, you're also reaching people that you may have never marketed to before, that they are, they're housebound or they don't have the capability or the transportation to get to your office. So now you could be grabbing a patient or a client that you could have never ever reached them before, because now they know you're advertising telemedicine. And you're on top of, and I think too is giving them options, not only saying, okay, yes, our staff is limited, but you have this option or you have this option, because when you market to a broad spectrum. So you want to be able to provide a service to somebody in that spectrum. And, it may be that stay-at-home person that doesn't have transportation, or it could be that active, person that just wants to come in and see the face-to-face. So just when you do market, be sure you hit all your categories.
I agree. So Tammy, why don't you tell us what you found, what we brought to this week's episode?
One thing that I thought would be interesting to talk about is how companies are marketing in the new norm. Let's be honest, there's so many companies out there that never ever really had to invest in marketing. And I feel like that has changed. I was on a call this week with a potential client, and he said his exact words were, we are going to lay low right now and come back strong. And I sat back and I thought, wow, now is when you want to come on strong. Now is when you want to say, I'm made in the US. I'm locally involved in my community, or I have a product that I can deliver to your home. So many people are not leaving the house, and it amazes me when I'm on social media, I'm on Google, I'm shopping. I'm a mom. I shop online. I did it before this happened, and I'll do it after this is over. But it amazes me that none of their marketing strategies have changed. That it's still the same thing they were saying back at Christmas. And I'm like, no, you need to be saying, you know what, we are a smaller staff. You expect delays in shipping, but we will deliver. I think Amazon has locked down delivery on things that are considered not essentials. So now's the time for these small businesses or mid-sized businesses or even large businesses to hit hard with social media and Google.
Yeah, I would add to that. I over the last 4 weeks, I got at least 4 or 5 newsletters from people, from companies that were scheduled way back and were horrendously bad. They did not fit. They marketed something that was not available anymore. You couldn't do. And it was so bad, it really turned me off so much from that company. And it's still happening. I got one last week, and I said, how can you actually schedule a newsletter, 2 months ago and let it rip? That cannot be. This is really awful. So to your point, you really have to, you can't lay low, certainly not. And you really have to review really very diligently what you're doing, actually.
I agree.
Especially right now, more than ever.
That's right.
I think that I like to think marketing as we knew it 3 months ago is never going to be the same. This has completely changed the interface, not only of our economy, but as what we're going to be doing as businesses and what we can suggest to our clients and our potential clients. I mean, in a local setting here, there's a deli down the street from me who had like 1 star on Google and did nothing. And now all of a sudden they've rallied the community and they're like a favorite and they're posting on social and they're giving hand sanitizers to policemen and healthcare workers. And it's like just a small switch in your strategy can even change your reputation and can change what you're doing.
In either direction. So with that, yeah, I agree with you. So I would say that concludes episode 5, the first one on Zoom. So I think it went fairly well. We'll institute this now again every week since we figured out how that works, even from my bad connection in the Adirondacks. So see you next week. Be well and stay safe.
See you guys.